Hello everyone! Like the game from my previous video, this one was also played in 1969. Obviously 1969 featured some crazy chess games. The game was played in Tallinn, the capital city of Estonia. It was played between the first Uzbekistani chess master Mamadzhan Mukhitdinov. He's playing against Lithuanian chess coach, chess arbiter Gintautas Jurgis Plunge. Not really sure how to pronounce Lithuanian names. Well, for a game that derives from the Ruy Lopez, it has a completely unexpected turn of events. It's quite a crazy game, and it really took me a while to understand what was going on. I'm really interested to hear if you can understand the position when you see it. So let's see the game. Mr. Mukhitdinov has the white piece, and he plays e4. We have e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, and bishop to b5, the Ruy Lopez. We have bishop to c5, white castles, and now knight to d4, offering this e5 pawn, but this is never good for white. This is a pretty standard gambit. But white declines this with knight captures on d4. We have bishop captures on d4, and now c3. Bishop to b6 and d4, so a pretty standard position. c6, kicking the bishop away from b5, bishop to a4. We have d6, knight to a3, knight to f6, and bishop to g5, pinning the knight. h6, bishop captures on f6, queen captures on f6, and d5 now. We have bishop to d7, knight to c4, bishop to c7. He doesn't want to allow this dark square bishop to be exchanged for the knight. D captures on c6, b captures on c6, and queen to d3, preparing to get that a1 rook into the game. Black castles here, and we have rook a to d1. Rook f to d8 was played, knight to e3, and now queen to f4. We have b4. a5, black wants to open up the a file with either a captures on b4 or b captures on a5, but white definitely does not want to let this happen. He plays b5, and well, with this b5 move, white is starting a devious plan, and well, he already had to see the final position when he played this b5 move. Otherwise, I don't think he would play it. Because black's response would force him to calculate all that way. So he does. He plays b5, and we have d5. Now threatening d captures on e4, also opening up a discovery from this rook to the queen after the bishop moves. But white doesn't mind. We have b captures on c6, and now with an attack on the bishop, but there is an in-between move, d captures on e4. Black is attacking the white queen on d3. And this is the position white had to see when he played b5. And, well, I'm not going to ask you to find the best move here. I'm just going to show you the move. The move white played is queen captures on d7, offering his queen. And this is the position I would like you to really look at and try to figure out what is the idea behind the queen sacrifice. Can black capture the queen? I mean, he definitely has to, or he can just resign the game. I mean, but what's the idea behind the sacrifice? If the queen sacrifice is accepted, will white recapture with the pawn? Will he recapture with the rook? And what happens then? So it's very interesting. I do urge you to pause the video and really try to understand this. I'll give it a couple of seconds. Okay, for those of you who did manage to solve this, I really congratulate you. It's quite a position to solve. And for those of you who just wanna enjoy the show, rook captures on d7 was played, and white recaptured with rook captures on d7. And in this position, Mr. Gintautas resigned the game because if you look at the position now, and I'm pretty sure this is the position white saw when he pushed b5. Black is completely lost here. He can't save this bishop. The bishop on c7 is attacked, and there is nothing black can do. If bishop to b6 is played, then knight to d5 comes with a tempo on the queen on f4, also attacking the bishop. This bishop is now lost. A somewhat better defense would be maybe bishop to d8, but after c7, black is losing this bishop. If you try to save it with a move like bishop to f6, you get rook to b1, and there is no defense against rook to b8. And if you don't play bishop to f6, well, you simply have to give up the bishop, and after rook captures, you have two rooks for black queen, and well, you do have the knight and the bishop for the rook. Again, a completely winning position for white. And lastly, after rook captures on d7, you could play something like rook to a7, but this doesn't help. After knight to d5, this also comes with a tempo on the queen on f4. You're losing the bishop, and even after a move like queen to g5, you just capture the bishop. If black tries to create some counterplay with perhaps e3, you just capture it. F captures on e3, queen captures with check, king to h1, and after queen to e2 with a tempo on the rook, trying to cause some turbulence here, simply bishop to b5. This is attacking the queen on e2, also defends the rook on f1. All of white's pieces are ideally placed. This is beautiful for white. For example, queen captures on a2, now rook to d8 check, king to h7, bishop comes to d3 with check, g6, and after knight to b5 with a tempo on the rook. This c pawn is, well, going to become a queen very soon, and the white's pieces are so ideally placed. This is beautiful. This rook is protecting the bishop on d3, the bishop on d3 is protecting the knight on b5, and also the rook on f1, and the knight on b5 is attacking the rook on a7, also guarding c7, so c7 is coming already and protected, and well, c8 is protected by the rook, so this is quite beautiful. But black didn't want to allow any of this, and after rook captures on d7, he resigned the game. So definitely a beautiful idea and a beautiful game by the first Uzbekistani chess master, Mamadzhan Mukhitdinov. And well, this game this whole idea came so unexpected to me that I'm forced to name this video Chess Sorcery number 5, as well as the previous 4 chess sorceries. The queen sacrifices and the entire games were quite fascinating. So yeah, that's the game. I do hope you enjoy it. And one more thing, this is the only photo I could find of Mr. Mukhitdinov, as it's a pretty bad photo. So if any of you are able to find another photo of him, some photo of maybe a better quality, I would appreciate it if you just send it to me, either share with a link in the comments or any way would be fine. So yeah, that's it. I do hope you enjoyed it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon.